Save the Marine Corps $140 million? Toilet paper. That is essentially what the Marine Corps has given this Marine Corporal as a reward in order to annotate his major accomplishments, which I would say go way above and way beyond what anybody else in that rank has ever done in a long time. Let's discuss it because Marine Corps Times has exposed this issue, and I will expound upon that because there are a lot of layers to this onion that should be making you scratch your head. Marine Corporal earns prestigious medal for saving military $140 million. Says a Marine truck mechanic received a medal typically awarded to more senior service members for saving the Defense Department more than $140 million through work he began as a teenage Lance Corporal. Let's be fair, there are top-level technical expertise that should be doing this kind of work, I would say, in the officer realm. We're not talking about the enlisted Matt Black that we are discussing here. I'm like, this is officer level stuff here. Let's just be real, frank with this situation. Corporal Gage Barbieri, now 21, received the Meritorious Service Medal on Friday from Colonel Damon Burrows, commanding officer 2nd Marine Division's Headquarters Battalion. Barbieri is only the 2nd Marine Corporal to receive the Meritorious Service Medal since at least 2008. Now, most people know that motor transport operators, whatever, just the mechanics, whatever, don't get a lot of respect, okay? Let's just be frank in that culture of the Marine Corps. But I have to say, you can't get stuff such as bullets, band-aids, and beans where they need to go without guys like this, and it is known that supply lines are very important. Now, I want to annotate with this story a couple things. The contracts which are responsible for this equipment that they're talking about that he works on specifically is through Oshkosh Defense, which I look at that and I'm like, I could find one single article already within the past a little over a year, about a year, of $208 million contracts that they were awarded to make sure stuff like this was happening. So like they are making hand over fist to do some of the work that this Marine Corporal was doing and making probably 30 grand a year. And I want that to be known because the impact of this is pretty profound. Marine Corps Times writes, Barbieri's engineering acumen would save more than 900,000 person hours of maintenance production time and more than $140 million throughout the entire life cycle of the platform, the Corps calculated. And they say, this is one hell of a catch by this young Marine, said Jackson Wolf, Marine Corps Production Support Manager to the Vehicles Program Executive Officer at Oshkosh in a Marine Corps news release. His work on the work package could possibly prevent loss of life. Which, by the way, when you talk about loss of life, you have to also think of funeral costs. You have to think of the SGLI, which is the military life insurance, which is like $500,000 almost right there, right? And then you talk about the administrative costs of that and like the impact of ripple effects of if members did die, how that would affect unit cohesion, mental health costs, healthcare costs, everything across the board where I'm like, this is more than the $150 million. Let's just be real. They say, but most of his background in mechanical engineering was theoretical knowledge about aspects of systems like wiring and resistance. He gleaned from reading technical manuals, he said. Having skipped 4th grade, Barbieri graduated from high school in 2019 at only 16. He spent 2 semesters studying mechanical engineering, first at Palm Beach State College in Florida and second at the University of California at Berkeley, but he didn't love it. Then a Marine recruiter approached him at a career fair. I tried everything else out. I couldn't find anything wrong with joining the Marine Corps, Barbieri said. I can find one major flaw of this. You obviously were a bright kid. You obviously needed to be stimulated, which school may be in its own fashion. We could, I guess, debate that it is not the best for everybody. However, the Marine Corps is another system, just like the college education. This kid should have finished his college education, done the homework. I know it's a lot of BS, worked for one of these big contractors, and probably should after this because his brain is that bright. And I will discuss why. Because this man assisted Oshkosh hand in hand to update the technical manuals. This is not something any normal corporal, lance corporal at the time, because he was doing it as a lance as well, would be doing. He said, as the trucks, they started breaking, there were more and more different aspects we had to fix, and not a lot of people with the experience that had already worked on them, Barbieri said. Says when Barbieri was about 6 months into working at the unit, he faced a problem that didn't have an easy solution: how to replace hoses that ran from the vehicle's engine bay to the back end. It took him 2 weeks, but he figured it out, he said. After that, his leaders tasked him with repairing more and more vehicles with thorny problems. Barbieri repaired more than 75 trucks, keeping the battalion's readiness above 90%, according to the news release. Again, Marine Corps, I have to say, talent management issue. I will continue to yell this from the rooftops that the military does a great job of mass processing people through. That's why we have the MEP stations, which allow people to go through. It's a system which they've narrowed down. However, when you have Barbieri here, the corporal that is a bright genius, it seems like, that maybe has just paid attention or has a little bit of quirky brain, maybe autism. He's in the Marine Corps, you never know. But that person should be able to be taken and put somewhere for better use. I would say fixing these vehicles, he's great at it, but if he's good at that, that's not that hard. He's eventually going to get bored with this anyway and should move on to more technical, proficient issues that might be above his pay grade. His leaders took notice and said he could diagnose issues that most Marines couldn't find and was able to make the repairs that civilian engineers from external organizations couldn't, said Master Sergeant Kenneth Bixby Jr., Barbieri's former motor transport maintenance chief, in the news release. Later in 2021, while Barbieri was still a 19-year-old Lance Corporal, his command selected him to spend months working on Oshkosh's tech writing team in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, on a technical manuals for the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle. Anytime I would find something that felt like it was out of order, I would mess with the flow of things. We'd write that down, Barbieri said. And said based on those issues, Barbieri and the rest of the team would pile into a conference room and suggest changes to the technical manuals. One day, Barbieri noticed a problem with the manual's instructions for replacing the steering column. Installing the replacement part that way would have stopped the steering wheel from moving, he said. If that happened while you were in a turn or on a highway, that could cause a rollover, he said. Barbieri stunned the engineers with his brilliance and changed proposals for both fabrication of new vehicle components and for updating electronic maintenance manuals that are now published and being fielded by the program office across the military branches of service, Burroughs wrote on LinkedIn. And at the beginning of this video, I said they gave him toilet paper. I appreciate this award, right? We're recognizing this Marine. But the guy saved you $140 million of government money, which, if you guys have not noticed, the Department of Defense budget every year is a big piece of that, which essentially has been under contested waters over, government shutdowns, essentially. So the fact this Marine is saving, I would say, a good, decent chip in the bucket. This is not anything new. Look at this clip right here.
This, Mr. Secretary, is a bag of bushings. This bag of bushings, stamped out by machinists, don't need a high school diploma. It's not anything high tech about this. All of this bag is compliant with the FAA specifications. How much do you think the Air Force pays for this bag of bushings?
I don't know, Congressman.
$90,000. This is a $90,000 bag of bushings that you need for any jet turbine engine just to operate. So the exorbitant cost due to DoD only buying commercial parts from the OEMs, which is essentially sole source, is literally driving us out of business. I mean, the interest on our debt alone is now exceeding, for the first time in American history, the entire defense budget. We can't afford it anymore.
We have $90,000 washers. Now, that's just one little incremental thing, but this Marine obviously has a much bigger impact on that. I would say, along with many others across social media have echoed, that this Marine should be getting some kind of promotion. And on top of that, why is there not a program where this Marine can get a chunk of money, some bonus, something, some percentage, something maxed out? I don't even know what that would be, because literally you could not pay this kid enough money to stay. I'm hoping Oshkosh, by the way, you better be offering this kid a solid position and maybe even a paid for college education at this point, because this is just the level that this kid is at. It's the skill set does not match what his rank is here. And I'm asking why. I hope the Marine leadership is talking about putting up for a meritorious promotion, because that is where this kid exactly needs to be. And I would say even beyond that. But I'd love to know, have you guys ever seen anything like this where somebody has found a solution, saved a ton of money, and the military or the government's like, thanks a lot, appreciate it, here's a piece of paper, because I'm sure he's not the only person that's ever had to deal with this kind of bureaucracy. But as always, the conversation continues down in the comments below. As always, if you guys like what I cover on this channel, hit me up over on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.